Good morning and welcome back to Parker Family Farm. This morning we're going to talk about how we save tomato seeds. It's a pretty simple process. It's kind of gross in certain parts of the process, but it's not too bad, and what you get out of it is free tomato seeds. When you're saving tomato seeds, you need to make sure you're saving the best ones out of the crop, because basically what you're doing is transferring genetic material from one year to another. So if there was something about your tomatoes that you didn't like, maybe they didn't size up, maybe they cracked on the vine, maybe they didn't taste good, then you don't want to save those tomatoes. So what I've got here is several varieties that I've saved. It's now almost the end of November. You can see our ice rink over there is frozen. It's very cold outside today. It's about 22 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have to do this outside because what we're dealing with here is fermented tomatoes, and it really doesn't smell very good. What I did was, at the end of the season, I went through the vines, and the last month or so I went through the vines and started selecting tomatoes that I really wanted to save. They looked nice. They were from varieties that I like the flavor of as well. Ones that grow well here in central Maine. So I went through and selected a bunch, and I basically put them on the table in our harvest room to sit there and mature a little bit longer. And when they were nice and gross, I basically went through and cut them up and cut them in half and squeezed all the seeds into these yogurt containers and let them sit. As you can see, it's pretty disgusting in there. I've already dumped them out. Let them sit there for a while and ferment. And what you get is, as you can see, we've got several varieties here. The cherries I just cut in half. The other ones, the larger tomatoes, I'll cut into pieces and squeeze all the tomatoes seeds out into the yogurt containers. And then once they've fermented down, then I'll go through and dump everything into these big buckets. And like I said, I'm outside and I'm over here by the hose port because it doesn't smell very good. As you can see, there's a layer of mold that grows on top of the yogurt containers. You just dump the whole thing right in, fill the buckets up with water, and you want to make sure the water has a good amount of pressure coming through, because what that'll do is stir everything up and get any seeds that might be stuck still in where they grow in the middle of the tomatoes. It'll push everything out and swirl it all up around. Then what we're going to do, I'll start here with these green zebras. See if I can get this in the shot. I got just a catch bucket here, and what I'm going to do is slowly pour everything out, the water, all the detritus that comes from it, the mold, fruit flies, everything. Like I said, it's not pleasant. Green zebra tomato skin. And you pour slowly, because what happens is, fortunately for those of us that like to save tomato seeds, all the seeds weigh enough to go down to the bottom of the bucket, and everything you don't want floats on the top. So you're going to have to do this several times. As you can maybe see down past my thumb, all that is the seed. So you pour very slowly, and then once you get to the point where the seeds are starting to come out, then you will stop pouring. You can see all the seeds down there, and we got rid of all the skins, fruit flies, anything that was in there, the mold, all that's going out of there. So you do that, then you go back to your tap, turn it on, fill it up again, hose down the sides of your bucket, get in a bunch of water. It's a fairly water intensive process. You can see all the seeds get swirled around in there. Everything's getting mixed up again. Then we'll shut off the water here. Give everything just a minute to settle out. It doesn't take very long. All the stuff you don't want is floating around in the water there, and the seeds have already settled to the bottom. That didn't take but a second. Any seeds that don't settle are not viable, so you can get rid of those too. Any seeds that are floating are not going to turn into a tomato plant. If you have a floating seed, that means it's no good, so you might as well just go ahead and pour it. There you go, all that stuff's coming out. The seeds are starting to come out. Anything that's like that, I'll just grab that, push it on the buckets. So every time you do this, you're going to get the seeds are going to get cleaner and cleaner, as you can see. So, and it's something like this. That's the second time that's floated back. That hasn't poured out. It's heavy, this tomato skin, so I'll just take that out. Any of the bigger chunks I'll break up because they still have seeds stuck to them, and I'm very greedy about seeds. I don't want to be dumping too many out because it's not worth the effort if you're just going to dump them into the bucket. Then you do it again. You have to do this basically as many times as it takes to clean out the seeds, get the seeds clean from all the skins and mold and everything else. Now the reason we have to go through this process, the reason we can't just cut tomato seeds out of a tomato and dry them, is because of that gelatinous material that's inside a tomato surrounding the seeds. That is actually something that tomatoes have evolved with to protect the seeds from germinating at the wrong time. So at the end of the season, in the fall, when the tomato vines are starting to die and you get tomatoes falling off the vine, rotting, if the tomato seeds were to just germinate and sprout right then, obviously the tomato plants that grew would die because it's fall and winter's coming. So what that gelatinous material is actually a protective coating that has to slowly rot away. Ideally, it rots away over the course of a few weeks in the fall, which then allows the tomato seed to be just laying there dormant until springtime, when it will germinate and be able to grow when it's warm enough. So what we're doing by fermenting in these buckets and yogurt containers is controlling that process and saving the seeds in packets instead of on the ground, where they'll germinate wherever they are. So you could maybe see a few seeds coming out there. That's alright. Those ones are no good if they float to the top. You can see after several, what is that, four goes through, we've got, it's hard to see here, a bunch of seeds left. So I'm going to continue cleaning these until I've got nothing but clean seeds with no skin, mold, or any of that gelatinous material left. And then once I've done that, I'll go and spread them out on a plate, just a dinner plate, in a warm, dry place, and let them dry. After a day or so, I'll stir them around so that they dry all the way around evenly. And then once they're completely dry, I can package them back into seed packets, which I save from when I purchase seeds. I have a whole pile of packets that still reseal. No use in getting rid of them. I save them for saving seeds. And then when these are all clean, dried, and packed, they're ready for next season.